Hi guys, thanks very much for stopping by. Looking forward to today's discussion, which is going to be on Lending Tree, which is a loan insurance finance research business or shopping marketplace, might be the more correct expression. So Lending Tree, ticker just Tree, and is listed on the NASDAQ in the United States. Just as a little preface, really looking forward to talking about this interesting company. This is entertainment, and as I say, hopefully good entertainment because it's a very interesting company to talk about. But it is in entertainment. It is not investment advice. Please do your own research. But very keen to hear your thoughts on Tree, and would be absolutely delighted to respond to any comments anyone wants to leave. I should say, apologies. Anyone wants to leave, and happy to discuss. But in entertainment, so Lending Tree, based in Charlotte in North Carolina. That's its HQ, but very much an online business. So if we start to look at some of the qualitative factors and perhaps some of the tailwinds which sit behind it, and there does appear to be tailwinds which are behind the business. One of which is the movement from financial comparison from the high street to the internet, and if you believe that is indeed a tailwind, and there's so many sectors that the internet has disrupted. If that is indeed such a tailwind, then Tree would appear to be pretty nicely set up. And as we'll come to during this discussion, it's certainly its revenue growth would seem to say that it has benefited from some of that so far. There may be more. There may be more to come. But let's look at the business in a little bit more depth now. So it was founded in 1998, and it was originally focused just on home mortgage loans. Okay, and I suppose more latterly it's moved into a range of sectors. So it would list as its main ones, and this is looking at its 10K. So its 10K would relate to what they just call home, consumer, insurance, and then other, which relates to all sorts of sectors. I believe even student loans can be included in that. Essentially, I think, as we always say on this channel, but certainly if you put your your Warren Buffett hat on, I guess there's the element of looking at the finances, which we'll dig into in a moment, and also the Philip Fisher idea of moat. So what can we detect any sort of moat here? I mean, in a qualitative sense, you can, and it pertains to some of the numbers that they talk about in the 10K. So it has 800, which they call network partners. That's a term, network partners. 800, very nice round number of them, and essentially, the clever side of Lending Tree is that it will give you a credit score. So you go on there, you do your credit score, and then it will tell you which products pertain to your score. So it saves you a great deal of time. Equally, it's great for the people offering the loans, etc., the network partners, because they know that the people that are looking at those loans are really looking for a loan because they've gone online to do it. This is hardly a site you go on just for a bit of fun. You're going there to purchase yourself a product. And secondly, they know that the candidate, I suppose, or the prospect who's looking at those loans is correct for their product. They can be priced it properly. So the credit score is free to the consumer, and there's confidentiality between partners on how things work. So the business has 34 trademarks, it has 1,500 domain names. It spends a great deal of money on branding. It seems an impressive business. It makes acquisitions. It made 7 from 2016 to 2019. Good number. And turning to the money, which is nice. If we look at the top line revenue, we see a substantial growth from 2017 all the way to 2019. So it doubled from about $620 million gross to just over $1 billion. So we're seeing good growth. It's hard to know how much those acquisitions influence that. It didn't seem a great deal of information, to light. But there is a caveat that the business itself puts in, which is that some network partners account for circa 10% of the revenue. It doesn't seem a particularly profoundly massive number for one to worry about, but that's worth knowing. The business has about 1,000 employees, about standard, I feel, for this kind of size company, but it isn't massively labour intensive. So MicroStrategy, some sort of comparison, if they have about 2,000 employees. I'm always personally interested in seeing the risks that the company projects itself. One is to do with the mortgage market and the size of the mortgage market. Very interesting that they list that. So this was in the 2019 10K, and we look down, or I look down on my notes, I should say. I do make a few notes for this, and on one day the shares dropped 15%, and the reason was that there was a 58% drop in non-mortgage revenue. So that side of it that they've highlighted, that the mortgage market is very significant, I think is really worth bearing in mind, given that it dropped substantially because of non-mortgage. So given how vital, home seems to make up about a quarter of turnover, if that were ever to be hit, perhaps there could be some problems. So this is a stock that seems pretty volatile. It will drop by that sort of number, percentage in a day. Likewise, it will grow at times substantially in a day, and it wouldn't therefore surprise with a number of the characteristics described thus far that Cathie Wood has been a shareholder via her ARC fund. Got a lot of characteristics that she likes. It's got that futuristic side to it, i.e. the ability to do online what you could only a long time ago, perhaps now, but could only do in the high street. So it does seem certainly some sort of a moat. I think there's some more bull factors. The CEO, Douglas Lebda, he certainly at the time of this 10K, he owned 18% of Tree. That's a massive percentage, and should fill, in many respects, the reader with, in my opinion, some confidence. Certainly, he's very pro what's going on. He's very heavily involved. So, what else does it do? What's he doing on the capital allocation front? They repurchased some shares. I believe it was about 100 million's worth in 2018. There does appear to be some issuance of shares. I'm not quite sure if they're to do with the acquisitions or if they're options for staff. It isn't quite clear to me. Very keen to hear from people in the comments about exactly what that is. But they've doubled total shareholders' equity in 5 years. They have a market cap which seems to fluctuate between about 3 to about 5 billion US dollars. So, but they do not appear to be profitable to date. So whilst they're doubling shareholders' equity, they're expanding fast with these acquisitions. They're clearly reinvesting in the business. They've got I think this is still a bit of a bet on the future. Hence, maybe why Wood was interested, and there is that element that they have to sustain quite a substantial growth to deliver a long-term good intrinsic value. But guys, really hope that you enjoyed that. I certainly enjoyed talking about it. Interesting business. Not necessarily one myself that I'm over itching to kind of invest straight away, but certainly one that's on my watch list. Hope you liked it. More videos on my page. Do you like and subscribe? I really appreciate that. Okay, all the best.